The wind sweeps across the Heartland ranch, carrying whispers of the past. It feels different this time, quieter, heavier, as if the land itself remembers what everyone wants to forget. In this new episode, something old is returning, something that once shaped every heartbeat in that valley. These aren't the ghosts that live in haunted houses. These are the ghosts that live in memories, regrets, and the spaces between words left unsaid. Heartland Season 19. Episode 3 Ghosts invites us back into a world where every sunrise brings light, but also shadows from yesterday. The day begins like any other at Heartland. Horses graze peacefully, the morning sun warms the frost-covered fields, and the steady rhythm of hooves fills the air. But underneath that calm, something feels off. Amy moves through the barn with quiet focus, her hands brushing against the worn wooden stalls as if grounding herself. She has always found comfort here, among the animals, where emotions are simple and honest. Yet today, her thoughts wander to places she hasn't visited in a long time. Memories of her mother, the ache of loss that time never really healed. It's been years, but some feelings refuse to fade. No matter how many sunrises come after them, Jack notices it too. The old rancher stands by the fence, hat in hand, watching the horizon with eyes that have seen too much. He knows the signs. There's a restlessness in Amy's movements, a silence that doesn't come from peace but from holding too much inside. Jack has carried ghosts of his own mistakes, regrets, people he couldn't save. He understands that sometimes the past doesn't knock before it walks right back into your life. He wants to say something to her, but words between them are like wild horses, best handled gently or not at all. Tim, on the other hand, hides his unease behind a wall of energy. He keeps busy, fixing fences, checking equipment, doing anything to keep from sitting still. Stillness for him means thinking, and thinking brings up memories he's buried deep. But fate has a way of uncovering what we try to hide. A letter arrives later that morning, its paper worn, its words unexpected. It's from someone long gone, or so he thought. The letter trembles in his hands, the edges stained with dust, the handwriting unmistakable. Tim doesn't speak. He folds it back up, tucks it in his jacket, and walks away before anyone can see the look in his eyes. Meanwhile, the air around Heartland feels charged. The horses sense it first, ears twitching, muscles tense, eyes fixed on something unseen. Even the dogs seem uneasy. There's no storm on the forecast, but nature knows better. Ghosts don't come with thunder or lightning. They come quietly, in the wind, in the small moments when you feel watched but know you're alone. Amy leads Spartan out to the field, her hand brushing his mane, her voice soft. But when she looks out over the pasture, for a second, she sees something or someone standing near the edge of the trees. And just like that, the calm morning shifts. The past, long silent, begins to whisper again. The nights at Heartland have always held a certain peace, a quiet hum of crickets, the rustle of wind through the pines, and the steady glow of the porch light that never goes out. But tonight, that peace feels fragile. The air is still, too still, as if the land itself is holding its breath. Amy stands by the corral, her eyes tracing the outline of the hills against the dark sky. The moonlight spills over the fences, silver and cold. She tells herself it's just her imagination, that long days and sleepless nights make the mind wander. Yet deep down, she knows it's something more. There's a weight in the air, something that doesn't belong to the present. It's as if the past has found its way home. Inside the barn, Spartan shifts restlessly, hoofs tapping against the ground. His breath clouds the cold air, ears turning towards sounds only he can hear. Amy steps closer, whispering softly to calm him, but her voice trembles ever so slightly. The smell of hay and leather usually comforts her, it's her safe place, but tonight, it feels unfamiliar. She catches a flicker of movement in the reflection of a metal bucket. Just a shadow, a trick of the light. But her heart skips anyway. The same feeling she had earlier returns, stronger this time. A presence, not threatening, but haunting in its silence. She feels it in her chest, in the pulse of the night. At the house, Jack sits by the fireplace, the flames painting lines of gold across his weathered face. He stares at an old photo resting on the mantel. Marion, smiling under that same prairie sky, years before it all changed. The picture has gathered dust, but he never moves it. It's his way of keeping her close, even as time keeps pushing forward. The floorboard creaks behind him. He looks over his shoulder, expecting to see Tim or Lou, but the room is empty. Just a sound of wind pressing against the windows. Jack shakes his head, muttering under his breath, but the unease lingers. The fire crackles, and for a brief moment, the flames flicker as if reacting to something unseen. Tim spends the night in the barn, unable to shake off the letter's weight. He sits on a bale of hay, the folded paper in his hands. He reads it again and again, the words blurring under tired eyes. It's a letter that shouldn't exist, a voice from a chapter he thought was closed. "I never meant to leave like that," it says. "Some things were never finished." He exhales sharply, a sound somewhere between anger and disbelief. The past he tried so hard to outrun has found him here, in the one place he thought he could rebuild. He glances toward the open barn doors, half expecting someone to walk through. No one does, but a faint echo carries across the yard, the soft sound of a horse whinnying, followed by silence. Back outside, Amy mounts Spartan and rides toward the open field. The air feels colder now, sharper against her skin. She doesn't know what she's looking for, only that she needs to find it before it finds her. The sky above stretches endless and empty, yet she feels watched. The wind shifts suddenly, and with it comes the faint scent of smoke and wildflowers, a scent she hasn't smelled since her mother's funeral. She stops. Spartan huffs and stamps the ground, uneasy. Amy whispers his name, her voice breaking slightly. The shadows in the distance seem to breathe, moving just beyond the reach of the moonlight. For a moment, she thinks she sees a figure, a shape she knows too well, standing at the edge of the trees. She blinks, and it's gone. But the feeling remains. Something is out there, something that refuses to rest. Morning comes to Heartland draped in fog, the kind that blurs the line between dream and memory. The mist hangs low over the fields, curling around the fences like it's guarding secrets. The horses move quietly, their breaths visible in the cold air. Amy stands by the barn door, her hand resting on Spartan's mane, lost in thought. Sleep didn't come easy. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that same silhouette standing by the trees. It wasn't just a trick of the light, she's sure of it now. But what haunts her more is the feeling that whoever or whatever it wasn't a stranger. It felt familiar, like a memory stepping out of her mind and into the world. Inside the kitchen, Lou pours coffee, her expression drawn. She's trying to stay practical, as always, but even she can't ignore the tension that's settled over the house. The usual morning chatter is missing. Jack reads the newspaper but hasn't turned a page in 10 minutes. Tim hasn't shown up for breakfast at all. The silence stretches. Lou finally breaks it, her voice soft. "Do you feel it too?" Jack looks up, his eyes distant. He doesn't answer right away, just stares out the window toward the barn. "Some things don't stay buried, Lou," he finally says. "Not out here." His words hang heavy in the air, like smoke that refuses to fade. Out by the paddock, Tim is already working, though it's clear his mind isn't on the fences he's fixing. The letter burns in his pocket like a secret he can't throw away. Every time he tries to ignore it, the words echo in his head. "I never meant to leave like that." He remembers the voice behind those words, the face that went with it. Someone from years ago, someone he wronged. He presses a hand to his chest, steadying his breath. For a moment, he thinks he hears her voice again, faint, carried by the wind. It's impossible, he tells himself, but still, he turns toward the open field, eyes searching. Nothing, only the fog, thick and unmoving. Amy decides she can't keep pretending everything's normal. She saddles Spartan again, this time with purpose. The memory of that shadow has rooted itself deep inside her. She rides out beyond the property line, toward the trail her mother used to take when she needed space. The path feels both familiar and strange, overgrown, yet alive with echoes. Every sound carries weight. The crunch of hooves on frost, the creak of the saddle, the whisper of wind through the tall grass. It feels like the past is breathing alongside her. She reaches a clearing and stops. It's quiet here, untouched by time. And then she sees it, a faded blue scarf tangled in the branches of a tree. She recognizes it instantly. It belonged to Marian. Her mother's favorite scarf. Amy dismounts slowly, her heart pounding. She reaches up and takes the fabric in her hands. It's frayed, faded, but real. She closes her eyes, the scent of wildflowers clinging faintly to it. A memory crashes through her mother laughing, calling out from the same clearing years ago. The same scarf flying in the wind. For a heartbeat, Amy swears she hears that laughter again, echoing faintly in the mist. She opens her eyes quickly, but there's no one there. Just the scarf and the endless quiet. Back at the ranch, Jack steps out onto the porch, his gaze fixed on the distant hills. The fog is beginning to lift, revealing the golden edge of dawn. Yet he can't shake the chill running through him. The past is close, closer than it's been in years. And deep down, he knows whatever ghosts have come back to Heartland, they're not here to scare them. They're here to finish what was left undone. The day drifts toward evening, but the sun never seems to fully break through. It hides behind clouds that look like smoke, giving everything a strange silver light. The ranch feels different now, not haunted, but awake, as if the past that had been sleeping beneath its soil has opened its eyes again. Amy walks through the open field, the scarf still folded in her hand. Every step she takes feels like a step closer to something she's been avoiding. She doesn't know if she's chasing ghosts or memories, but maybe they're the same thing. Behind her, Spartan follows without a sound, his presence grounding her against the pull of everything she can't explain. At the barn, Jack and Tim stand in silence. The letter lies open on a workbench between them. Neither wants to read it out loud, but both already know what it says. It speaks of forgiveness, of a truth long buried under pride and pain. Tim looks older than usual, like the years have suddenly caught up with him. Jack studies him quietly. These two men have shared more storms than they can count, yet this moment feels heavier than all of them. You can't keep running from what you've done, Jack finally says. His tone isn't angry, it's tired, wise, final. Tim doesn't respond right away. He grips the edge of the table and nods slowly. Maybe I'm not running, he says. Maybe I'm finally stopping. The words land like a confession, the kind that frees and wounds at the same time. Amy returns to the barn just as the last light fades. Her face is pale, her eyes uncertain. She hands the scarf to Jack without a word. He takes it, and for a long time, none of them speak. The only sound is the soft breathing of the horses nearby, steady and alive. Jack's voice breaks the silence. She'd be proud of you, he says softly. Amy looks down, blinking back tears. Sometimes I wish she was still here, she whispers. Jack gives a faint smile. She is, he replies, tapping his chest. In here, that's how ghosts work around this place. They don't hunt us, they remind us outside. The fog begins to lift, revealing the soft glow of lanterns across the ranch. Lou steps out of the house, calling everyone in for supper, her voice carrying across the yard. It's a simple sound, but it feels like a promise that life, no matter how heavy it gets, keeps moving forward. Tim stays behind a moment longer, staring out toward the field. The wind picks up, brushing against his jacket, and for just a second, he hears her voice again, the one from the letter, soft, forgiving. He closes his eyes, letting it wash over him, not fighting it this time. When he opens them again, there's peace in his face, a quiet acceptance that wasn't there before. The night settles gently over Heartland. The stars begin to show, one by one, like reminders that even in darkness, light returns. Amy sits by the fence, looking up at the sky. The fear she felt earlier has faded into something else, understanding. Maybe ghosts aren't meant to be feared. Maybe they're just pieces of love that never learned how to leave. She smiles faintly, whispering to the wind, "Thank you." The horses stir, the lanterns flicker, and somewhere in the distance, a soft echo answers her. The past has finally spoken its last word. Heartland breathes easy again, ready for another sunrise. Night has folded over Heartland like a soft blanket, wrapping every barn, fence, and hill in a calm that feels almost sacred. The ghosts have quieted, the wind has eased, and for the first time in days, the ranch feels still. Not the uneasy stillness from before. This is different. It's the kind that comes after a storm, when the air feels lighter and every sound carries meaning. Amy sits on the porch steps, her hands around a warm mug of tea, steam curling into the cool air. The scarf lies beside her, folded neatly, no longer a relic of sorrow but a keepsake of peace. She looks out at the open fields glowing faintly under the moonlight, and she smiles. For the first time, she isn't looking for anything. The past has said what it needed to say, and the present feels enough. Inside, laughter echoes faintly from the kitchen. Lou and Jack argue playfully over who made the better stew, while Katie hums a tune from the living room. The house feels alive again. These small sounds, the kind that once went unnoticed, suddenly feel precious. They're proof that even after loss, even after silence, life finds a way to fill the empty spaces. Jack leans back in his chair, watching his family with quiet pride. For all the pain that's passed through this house, it's still standing. Maybe that's what strength really is, not the ability to forget, but to carry the memories without letting them crush you. Tim steps out into the yard, stopping near the barn. The letter rests in his hand one last time before he folds it and sets it down inside the old tag box. He doesn't need to read it anymore. Whatever unfinished words lingered between him and the past have finally settled. He glances up at the sky, exhaling deeply. The stars seem brighter tonight, spread wide like the world's way of forgiving itself. He thinks of the choices he's made, the bridges he's burned, and the people who gave him second chances. For once, he doesn't feel like running. He just stands there, still, at peace with the ghosts that walked beside him, back at the porch. Amy hears footsteps and looks up to see him approaching. No words are exchanged, but they don't need them. They share a small nod, one of those silent understandings that run deep in their family. The air between them is calm, filled with unspoken gratitude. Behind them, Spartan nickers softly, his dark eyes reflecting the light from the house. Amy reaches out to pet him, her voice gentle. "We're okay now," she whispers, and somehow, she knows it's true. The ranch has seen its share of storms, but it always finds its way back to calm skies. The camera would pull back here if this were a scene slowly revealing the ranch bathed in silver light. The fences stretching toward the horizon. The people within those walls no longer haunted, but healed. The wind carries the faint sound of laughter and the steady rhythm of hooves in the distance. Life goes on, just as it always has in Heartland. And though the ghosts have finally faded into memory, their presence lingers in the quiet strength of everyone they've touched. They're no longer echoes of grief, but reminders of love that endures, heals, and never truly leaves. The night settles deeper. The porch light flickers once, and then steadies again. Tomorrow will bring another sunrise, another day's work, another story. But for now, in this moment, Heartland rests. The ghosts have gone home, and peace at last belongs here again. The first light of morning creeps over the hills, painting the sky in strokes of gold and rose. Dew glistens on the grass, and the air smells clean, like the earth has been washed of its worries. Heartland awakens slowly, horses stir, doors creak open, and the rhythm of a new day begins. Amy steps outside, the cold air brushing against her cheeks, carrying the scent of pine and hay. She pauses for a moment, letting the silence settle around her. The ghosts that once pressed heavy on her heart feel distant now, like ripples fading across still water. What remains is something softer: acceptance. She looks toward the field, where the fog once lingered, and whispers a quiet thank you to whatever presence watched over them in the dark. Inside the house, the kitchen hums with life again. Lou moves through her morning routine with a quiet smile, humming under her breath as the coffee brews. Jack sits at the table, notebook open, jotting down a few words only he will ever read. They're not about cattle or fences or bills. They're about memory, about keeping stories alive even when the people in them are gone. He glances at Amy as she steps inside, the early light catching in her hair, and for a second, he sees her mother in her, the same calm strength, the same heart that carries others even when it's heavy. "Mornin', kid," he says softly, and Amy smiles. That small, knowing smile that doesn't need words. Tim walks in a few moments later, hat in hand, his eyes clearer than they've been in years. He doesn't say much, but his presence feels different, lighter, unburdened. He places a small box on the counter. Inside rests the folded letter, no longer a source of pain, but a part of his story he's ready to let rest. Thought it belonged here, he mutters. Jack nods. There's no need for apologies. The silence between them says enough. Lou pours him a cup of coffee, and for once, he accepts it with a quiet grin. The family sits together, the clatter of spoons and the warmth of conversation filling the space where tension once lived. Outside, the ranch moves with its old rhythm, steady, dependable, alive. Spartan trots across the paddock, his breath steaming in the crisp air. A few birds take flight from the fence posts, rising toward the pale morning sun. Amy watches them go, her heart light. For so long, she's carried the weight of the past, trying to heal what was broken, trying to make sense of what couldn't be changed. But now, standing here, she understands that not every wound needs to disappear. Some are meant to remind her how far she's come. Healing isn't forgetting, it's learning to live with what remains and finding beauty in the cracks. The camera would linger on the ranch here if this were a scene, the soft glow of dawn spreading across the land, the mountains watching quietly from the distance. It's peaceful, timeless, and alive with unspoken stories. Amy leans against the fence, looking out at the horizon. Her voice, calm and certain, breaks the quiet. Ghosts don't scare me anymore, she says. They're just proof that love leaves traces. The wind answers softly, carrying her words through the fields. Heartland stands as it always has, strong, weathered, and full of heart. Another day begins, not haunted by yesterday, but guided by it. And as the sun rises fully, washing away the last of the shadows, you know this, some places don't just hold memories. They keep them alive. As the sun climbs higher, Heartland glows with that rare kind of morning light that feels earned, the kind that only comes after long nights and quiet reckonings. The ranch hums softly with life again. The creak of the gate, the rhythmic clop of hooves, the gentle laughter spilling from the house. Everything feels familiar, yet changed. The ghosts that once lingered in every corner have gone silent, not banished, but at peace. What remains is their echo, a whisper of love, a reminder of what this place has always stood for: family, forgiveness, and finding strength where it once hurt the most. Amy stands near the corral, her hand resting on Spartan's mane as the morning breeze catches the ends of her hair. She looks out toward the open sky, the fields rolling endlessly ahead. For a long moment, she just breathes. No fear, no weight, only clarity. We're still here, she says softly, her voice barely a whisper. It's not meant for anyone in particular, but maybe that's the point. It's for her mother, for the ghosts that came and went, and for the parts of herself she's finally ready to stop hiding. Spartan snorts quietly, nudging her shoulder as if he understands. She smiles, small, real, and free. Inside, Jack hangs the faded blue scarf near the old photograph of Marion. It sways gently with the draft, as if moved by invisible hands. His expression is calm. There's no sorrow there now, only warmth, the kind of peace that comes when the heart accepts what the mind never could. Lou joins him, sliding her arm through his. Looks right there, she says quietly. Jack nods. Yeah, feels like home again. That's all that needs to be said. Some memories belong in the open, not tucked away. Not forgotten, but living right where love still breathes. The camera would drift upward now over the rooftops, past the horses grazing in the morning light, beyond the winding fences that mark the edges of Heartland. The music swells, soft and nostalgic, carrying emotion instead of words. A narrator's voice rises over the sound, calm and steady. At Heartland, the past never really leaves, it simply teaches us how to move forward. Every scar tells a story, every silence holds forgiveness, and every sunrise reminds us that even ghosts can rest when hearts learn to let go. The screen fades slowly to white, the CBC logo glowing faintly against the brightness. Then the text: Heartland Season 19, Episode 3, Ghosts, only on CBC. And as the last note of music fades, one final whisper lingers, not a line, not dialogue, but a feeling, a sense that this isn't the end, only the next beginning. Because at Heartland, every goodbye carries the promise of another hello, waiting just beyond the horizon.